So yeah, so you mentioned right, tape saturation. What are maybe some of your favorite saturation modules that you use?
Um, well, I'm a little partial to wave stuff.
And you
The
test for waves, right? So you
I've
actually
been I've
you
been
get all the plugins before they get
yeah,
released.
I've been testing for waves since about 20 I think about 2006. I started testing for waves, and brilliant company. When you compare plugins, it's really how they're developed and like their algorithms, how much detail's gone into the development of them. Today's modeling is just amazing how they can model a piece of equipment. But for instance, with waves, they first introduced the Kramer machine, which was the Eddie Kramer version of how we use an Ampex machine. And when they first introduced it to me, um, I listened to it and said, this concept is brilliant. But then when I listened to it, to be honest, as a tester, I didn't think it really quite made the grade. I was like, this doesn't really sound like what
You know, you
it
even
should sound
looks
like.
like you have an Ampex on the wall there behind
Oh
you.
yeah, I got I've worked with those machines, so it's like only working with them can you really experience it. So the average person who has not worked with them, you can tell them this is the way it sounded, and they're like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
But somebody like me, you're gonna have to really emulate something that's gonna sound like that, feeling like that sound I got. And that's probably why for them I'm a valuable tester, or many like me are valuable testers for vintage stuff. And they actually shelved it. I would not say it was because of my suggestion, but because many others that were also testing probably had the same similar, response. They asked lots of questions. Why? What is it? What is it? Why does it not sound the way it does? What do you think we should do to make it sound better? And they went back to the drawing board, got another machine, and really went deeper into modeling. And I think that plugin specifically was a landmark plugin for them to really understand how to model aspects of analog gear to recreate a virtual version of them. And when they came back with the second version about a year ago, I was like, a year after, I was like, wow, that's amazing. What I had questions for them. How'd you guys do that? Would you, And it's amazing. So when the 37, which is the Beatles machine, came out, and all the Tascams came out, and all,
Hmm.
it was amazing because they already had that technology down. They just had to go through what they did already. You know what I mean? So it wasn't reinventing the wheel, but it was redesigning the different wheel that rolls. So it was amazing. So like there's a lot of saturators in the past that if you understand distortion and saturation, there's even harmonic and not harmonic distortions. And traditionally, even harmonic distortions are a little more pleasing to the ear. They're fluffier, they're kind of smoother. Example, the band Boston from the 70s, be big guitars, very listenable.
Hmm.
Whereas Nirvana from let's say the 90s, edgier, more, art harmonic distortion. So a lot of people would listen to those genres of music because it's more aggressive to be edgy. It's less aggressive to be smoother.
Hmm.
And that's the beauty of music. It pushes you into moods you may want to be in, or change to, because you're in another mood. You're depressed, you'd like to be in a more excited mood. You're excited, you like to relax, to go to sleep.
Hmm.
Music's powerful like that. So yeah, there's lots of modules out there now. IK Multimedia's got some great saturators.
Hmm.
Waves just developed. We just released a couple of new ones. The Magma ones. They're really nice. And depending upon how dramatic you want it to be or how subtle you want it to be. The Butch Vig plugin was released a couple of years ago, and although it says for vocals, you can use it on anything,
Hmm.
but you can create a transistory sounding distortion or a vacuum tubey type even overdrive distortion, or even blend them, which is a beautiful thing. It was either or years ago. Now these options are incredible.
Hmm.
I think there's more options out there than people realize.
Oh yeah. There's new saturators coming out all the time.
But
So
in gear in general, I mean, when somebody says to me, I say, "So which DAW are you using?" And they say Logic, and I say, "Wow, have you been through? Have you worked with their engines? Have you worked with with a lot of their development tools and stuff like that? Alchemy and stuff like that?"
love Alchemy.
And they're like, "Oh, yeah, but they kind of, I've heard them all." They have no clue.
Hmm.
They're just starting points. You can do
Right,
anything with those
presets. Yeah,
shapers.
it's very
Anything.
yeah.
Nowadays with synths, and the biggest problem with synths, in my opinion, is that you're given too many presets.
Mm-hmm.
You should be giving minimal presets, and you should be forced to explore. And I fall, you know, I'm one. I also, fall into a situation where I'm going through presets before I modify, because everybody would like a quicker fix,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm looking for something, but it's not quite there. So I get to a preset that's close, and then I go and modify. A lot of people get to the best preset of the bunch, are not happy with it, and settle for it.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding the nature of oscillators, of ring modulators, of how the envelope generators work in synthesizers is so important. And a lot of people just preset 6, 5, 1, and go for sounds. So there's some tremendous synthesizers out there now, and there's even hardware synths that are being reissued. That physically, you've got to physically adjust. Oh, the Nord is a great one.
Yeah, no, I mentioned IK. They've come out with a couple.
Oh, yeah, Centronic. I mean, IK's got some great stuff. They revamped their line, and I have tremendous respect for IK. They got great stuff, instrument-wise and plug-in-wise. Guitars, nowadays, it really doesn't pay to have amplifiers in the studio anymore. Pianos. To keep a piano tuned in the studio, the amount of real estate it takes up, and to keep it tuned, when you can take the data and instantly choose a Bosendorf, or a German Grand or a Steinway, it's amazing. I mean, and really, really sounding real good. Yeah. I'm very much a naturalist. I don't like synthetically recreated things that I can obtain naturally. But in the case of guitar amplification now, and in the case of pianos, got to tell you, with a weighted keyboard, you can pretty much put up a curtain and trick anybody. That's and even classicists, even real seasoned people. Like I work with Dave Brubeck. I said, Dave, what type of piano you have at home? He says, a Roland, And here's a guy who's going to go down, history books, over 140 LPs, and work with everybody. A jazz great. But when he did record with me, he did wheel in a German Grand, because that is his roots, But practice and playing, and it's amazing. There's some amazing things out there. But there's a pretty big choice of saturators. There used to be real cheap plugins and then high-end plugins. Now the race is on, because I think they've reverse engineered, the real good guys, and they've improved their ability to be a good plugin. People don't realize is that with digital, you've got a precious 16 bits in the end that you need to produce for the client. And a bad plugin can wreck that, can totally destroy that. And now there's a compromise. The compromise would be Audible. The visual equivalent would be watching a movie and you see a blotch of black or something. That's a compromise in the video, whatever was applied, or the copy. In audio, it could be a chattering of reverb, or it could be an inadequate or abnormal sound at low volume, stuff like that.
So you just have to really pay attention when you're using that to listen for that.
Yeah, well,
develop that critical hearing.
Also, the key is to work at a higher resolution. If you're working at 24-bit, not to say you could be flagrant, but you can, worry less that you're going to wind up with a pure 16-bit, because you're going to knock that 8 in the end.
Hey, if you got value from this video, feel free to drop a like. If you're looking for a proven step-by-step process for consistently producing pro quality music from home, then just grab my free rapid song finishing checklist in the description below. Also, if you're just looking for more tips and tutorials on how to produce pro level music from home, then just check out my playlist or video on the screen right now. All right, have an awesome day and keep creating.